Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Director Mueller. I've served both as a U.S. Attorney, but also been the cousins and served as Attorney General. And when I was Attorney General, we went over to visit the U.S. Attorney's office. The only things that were at risk were the pads and pencils that we tried to supplant our meager resources with. We were nowhere near energetic enough to put the furniture at risk. So I applaud my colleague from Minnesota. The cyber issue is one that you address at some length in your testimony, and I appreciate that very much. It's less a type of crime than an arena of crime and other misconduct. It ranges from simply people who are expert hackers showing off their stuff to traditional criminal activity, to what we would consider to be advanced industrial espionage, to what we would consider to be national security espionage, and it creates the risk of outright acts of destruction and war being taken against our country through the cyber medium. In all of that, my fear is that our resources are presently inadequate to the task, and that the way in which we address the cyber threat creates very considerable civil liberties and privacy risks. Having just been through the unfortunate episode of the Bush administration's warrantless wiretapping of Americans and the remarkable role, frankly, played by the Department of Justice in standing up to that, and yourself, I might add, what would your advice be for us as members of Congress as to the authorities, the resources, or the resolutions of difficult issues like civil liberties issues that you need us to do in order for our country to be more effective? You're at the spear point, but you work off of authorities that we give you, you work off resources that we give you, and you work constrained by unresolved questions that we leave unresolved. If you were going to give us a top 3 or 4 things that we should be focusing on to address this cyber threat, what would those be?
Well, I think the civil liberties issues are less extant when you're looking at the ability of state actors to penetrate, whether it be defense or the stock market or what have you, and that how you protect those networks is one issue where one would have more leeway because their networks are controlled by the federal government. The issue about other networks, .coms, EDU, and the like that are not controlled by the federal government raises a number of privacy issues that need a broader discussion in, quite obviously, in the judiciary committees and others.
How far along in that discussion do you feel we are from the point of view of providing you with policy support for the decisions you need to make?
Well, I don't think the discussion is far along at all. I do think it's in part attributable to the change of administrations because the view taken by the previous administration is being reviewed by this administration, and that at the time that that review is completed.
This is the 60-day review you're referring to? This is the 60-day review you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and but part of it is education in terms of educating on the issues, the extent of the issues, and then the second part of it is the solution. And my expectation is those discussions will increase substantially in the next several months as this administration has an understanding and a view as to how we solve particularly the issue of attacks on the internet and the like, the .gov, and the outside of the more classified issues that relate to state actors and terrorists and the like. But in my mind, they're, in some sense, two baskets of issues that require different solutions.
So if we focus briefly on the civil liberties side, your sense is that the discussion as to where the policy line should be drawn is at a fairly preliminary stage and does demand further work by Congress, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
And with respect to the resources and authorities side, what recommendations have you with respect to those areas? Do you feel that you have the cyber resources that you need? Do you feel that you have the authorities?
I don't think anybody feels they have the cyber resources they need to do the job. In the 2009 budget, we received 31 agents, 52 personnel, $19 million. But with the growth of the cyber arena, as you call it, which is appropriately so because it infects or affects, either infects or affects everything we do now, is growing by leaps and bounds. And all of us struggle to keep up with it. And there are new and innovative ways of undertaking intrusions into systems and extracting information that the defense is one step behind the attackers. And all of us, I think, we could use more resources, though, although we are very adept. And we've got, whether it be the military and NSA or ourselves, we've got some very, very talented people to address.
I've got